Hello, it is a very beautiful day, a clement weather out there, and I welcome you to this special program. This is a special one on nation building, election security, and also peace building. When we talk about electoral activities, come uh, August 15, 2026, it's Saturday precisely. We would have our election, the gubernatorial election in Osun State, and I pray that it is peaceful, credible, and worthwhile. In the studios today, I want to welcome some stakeholders who will be speaking on this issue at hand, on the issue of electoral integrity, nation building, and electoral security. In the studios today, I want to show you my guests. But before I show you my guests, let's go there, have a break. When we come back, we would go on and get started. Don't go anywhere.
Great people of Osun, the state of the living spring, it is once again time to head to the polls. The Independent National Electoral Commission reminds us one person, one vote. Every society faces challenges, security, jobs, infrastructure, opportunity, and over time, the quality of leadership shapes the answers we see. These outcomes don't happen by chance, they are shaped by decisions made over time, and those decisions come from leadership. Leadership comes from participation. If you don't vote, you are still making a choice, just not for yourself. When fewer people participate, decisions are shaped by fewer voices, and when we choose not to vote, we leave those decisions to others and live with the outcome. When money is offered in exchange for a vote, it may feel helpful in the moment, but the long-term cost is often much higher.
For us, as young people, participation matters because we have a stake in what comes next. Opportunities, education, cost of living, safety. These things don't shape themselves. They are shaped when we show up. And when we show up, our priorities are harder to ignore.
We understand the value of our vote. Our vote is not for sale. The government we desire is the one we must vote for. What we sow is what we reap. This is our state. This is our future. On election day, show up. Make your choice. Let your voice count. Your vote is not small. This message is brought to you by Center for Media and Society, CEMESO, and funded by the European Union.
You're welcome back. It is still the program, a special program on electoral integrity, security, and peace building. Just like the second stanza of the national anthem. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace and battle honored, so and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. On this note, let me introduce my guests. They are seasoned stakeholders on the election process come this Saturday. Let me first introduce Mr. Lanre Arogudade. He is the Executive Director, International Press Center, IPC. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning to
Thank
all
you.
our viewers.
I also have Dr. Akinpulu, Executive Director, CEMESO. CEMESO is Center for Media and Society. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
You're welcome to
Good morning, viewers.
Thank you, sir. And I have another beautiful lady. You look so beautiful, madam. Thank you. Yeah, you look so beautiful and handsome too. So that I won't be taking sides. Okay, let me introduce Barrister Asabe Ndahi. He's the project manager, the Kuka Center. You're welcome, madam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome to our studios.
It's a privilege.
Our studio. Thank you so much. Let me start with Mr. Lanre Arogudade of IPC. What are the role of the media in election credibility?
Well, the major role of the media is to ensure that the people are well informed about the election processes in terms of what they need to do before the election, on election day, and even after the election. But now that we're looking at August 15, what the media should be telling our people now is how to go about voting. The fact that your name must be on the register, you must have your permanent voters card, and you must be at the polling unit by 7:30 when the officials would arrive, so that you can be part of the briefing. But the presiding officials will brief the participants, I mean those who are going to vote, the voters, and then explain the process to them. But more importantly, the role of the media now would be to tell our people to conduct themselves in a very peaceful manner. If the environment for the election is not peaceful, then there will be a problem with the election itself, because we know that this particular election in the state has been described as one that is competitive because of the strong candidates that are vying for the governorship. So we expect the media to pass messages about the need for peaceful conduct. Then for now, I think another thing that we expect the media to do is to give the people the correct information or credible information, because when it comes to election time like this, we have all kind of false information flying around. Sometimes people would even go to the extent of manipulating images, videos, photographs to score political points. It is the duty of the media to provide credible information to counter any false narrative, and we call these fact checking these days. They must ensure that they give the correct fact to the people, so that people are not misled by the various falsehoods that usually go around on social media. So for me, these are the key roles that we expect the media to play as we move towards this election, and that has been our message since we started engaging with the media and other stakeholders here in Osun State.
Thank you so much, Mr. Larry Rukujati. Let me go and ask Dr. Akinakiri. Sir, what about CEMESO? And what are your role in nation building and electoral integrity?
Thank you very much. Let me start from the angle or the basic of electoral integrity, which is a very, very important and central word in election management all over the world. If an election has integrity, that's a good election. The people will be proud of it. The people will develop trust in the institutions that are involved in managing that election. The people will respect the result that have come out of that process. What are the issues that we see in our environment, like Osun now, the issues that have to do with electoral integrity? Let's begin with the issue of transparency of the election. That is to say, no part of the election is hidden. The people are able to see that the various stakeholder agencies are doing their work the way they should do them, beginning with the election management body, to security agencies, to the media, to other stakeholder institutions. There should be participation to have electoral integrity, meaning that all citizens should have access to participate in all the stages of the electoral process, meaning from registration, as voters, through all those other processes to election day where they will cast their votes. There should be independence, for the electoral management body and the other stakeholder institutions, meaning that in our case, in the case of INEC, it should have all the independence that it requires to do a job that citizens will hail and respect. There should be security for the election, meaning that various stages of the electoral process, security agencies are able to carry out their work professionally, not taking sides, doing the thing professionally, neutrality of of the electoral process. Result management process. Yes, that the election will have a credible result management process. In our environment, we'll be talking, you go and vote, there's beavers, where you get the beavers, we check, your biometrics, we check your face, check all those data that it requires, and then the ballots will be cast, and then we move into result management. How do we collect, those results? How do the results move, from beavers, to IREV, to all the other stages of the collation? How are the results released in a very transparent and respected process? So all of this, even the issue of law, I'm sure my colleagues will be talking about that when it gets to post-election stage. If there are concerns, if some candidates feel, or political parties feel they haven't got the best out of the process, they are putting the cost to say, no, I'm not satisfied. The judiciary should be available to do impartial adjudication. That is to say, to take the facts, of that come, the presentations that come from various parties to the adjudication process, and then give their decisions in an unbiased manner. So all of these things, go to speak to electoral integrity. What have we been doing? It's not just CEMESO, we work together, civil society organizations on the field, and we have been in Osun for many
Sorry, I
months.
wanted to ask if there's a relationship between the Kuka Center and the CEMESO.
Oh, sure. And the IPC as well.
And that is
Oh, yeah. So you have heard, the way I talked about issues, in adjudication. What we do is that we engage, with the entire electoral process, coming from various angles, and we work together to make sure that we deploy synergy into the engagement of the electoral process.
Thank you so much.
So that's what we do. So you will find CEMESO working more with the media, but also working with citizens, working with the election management body, looking at looking at communication issues and all of that, working with the Kuka Center, to also engage with issues, that have to do with peaceful conduct of the elections, security of the elections, and so on. So with IPC, Center, for example, as he said, IPC, all of those. So we work together in this process.
Center, the IPC,
and the Kuka Center and CEMESO.
So there's a synergy. The nexus,
yes,
relationship
bound together, in this process.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask that question, but since it has been solved, so let me now go to Dr. Barrister Idayi Asabe. Idayi is the managing director of the Kuka Center. No. Project manager of the Kuka Center. So what are the basic rights every Nigerian voter should know when dealing with party agents, security personnel, and so on at the polling units? What are their basic rights?
Okay, I think that I'll start with the most basic of all the rights, which is the right to vote.
Thank you.
Every Nigerian citizen, which includes the Osun State people, have a right to cast their vote on election day, and should be able to do that freely and fairly without any form of coercion, without any form of intimidation. And intimidation, I mean that we have different stakeholders on election day, and you have party agents, all sorts of bullying can take place, and they have a right to say, no, I do not want to participate in this, including the very big menace of vote buying. They can decide to say, I do not want to partake in vote buying, and they shouldn't be bullied to participate in that. They also need to know that ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Of course.
So there is a provision in the law in the electoral offences contained in Section 7 of the Electoral Act of 2026, which says that if you are caught trading votes, so whether the buyer or the seller, you could face a jail term of 12 months or a fine of 500,000 at the minimum. And so when people say, how then can we stop vote buying? I think that they need to know that the price of vote buying has gone beyond the amount you were given divided by the 4 years. But the actual cost implication is you could serve a jail term. You could ask to pay a fine that is higher than the amount that was given to you. But then the other rights that they have is to participate without any form of discrimination, regardless of your gender or your disability status, all of those things. Another thing is the right to civic vigilance. Every Nigerian is entitled to that. You should be able to sit down and monitor the electoral process from start to finish. And where there are irregularities, you should be able to ask the stakeholders involved, why is this happening and what is the solution? Because this cannot go. It will go ahead to impact on the legitimacy of the election. And finally, I'd just like to say that people must take their rights to vote seriously, because with all of the security issues that we see playing out, there's a tendency for voter apathy, and that's not what we know the Osun State people for. They are known to come out to vote, and so we're hoping that these security issues will not impact on the number of voters that we see on that day, because that in itself would have impinged on their right to come out to vote on that day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And let me just take a follow-up from what you just said. If a voter is intimidated or prevented from voting, what lawful steps should he or she take at least to seek help?
Okay, so we're going to hope that firstly that the intimidation does not come from the institutional stakeholders, which would be INEC and the security agencies. So if it comes from a civilian part, which is probably like a party agent or party supporters on that day, then you simply redirect the issue to the people who have the mandate on that day, which is the security agencies, and report to them. But then should it mistakenly come from that quarter, then you have to look for a higher authority within that same security agency to be able to pass on that situation.
Thank you so much, Barrister Asabe Idayi. Thank you so much once again. Sir, Dr. Aki. Sir, what happens to democracy when the choice of the citizens to freely choose their leader is manipulated? So what happens to democracy?
Oh, well, to me it's clear, democracy is endangered. And it is democracy that we have. So, citizens should therefore protect democracy by saying the choices of the people. First, that the people must be allowed to make their choice, meaning that there should be no hindrance to access to participation in the voting process, for example, all. Meaning that there shouldn't be any form of voter suppression. Meaning that citizens' devices, that the voter card, should not be tampered with by anybody. Meaning that accessibility support, for example, for those who need support, like persons with disability, they should have, those forms of support, to be able to participate. And then after voting, the other processes, the other stages of the electoral process, from voting, counting of the votes and all of that, should be done in a very transparent manner, so that nobody will come out to say, oh, the process wasn't followed. As the law has said, Electoral Act 2026 now, that election finishes, votes are counted, the appropriate documentation is done, then the data moves, from the beavers, and then moves, to the IREV and, the other processes and other stages up to the end of collation. Each of those stages is sacrosanct as far as elections concerned, to ensure, that the choice of the people is not manipulated. Each of those stages must be respected according to the law. All the role players in that process must play their roles. They must ensure, that the technology works and all the other instruments, that are supposed to make things work. And that the results must reflect what the people put in as what we call input at the beginning. That is the votes that they cast. That the person who actually won, according to the votes that are cast by the voters, by the citizens, is the person that is declared as a winner. Maybe we leave it, at that. If that doesn't happen, it's a problem for democracy. And I trust, that in this process, that's leading to Saturday, stakeholders will do all of this. The whole world is watching, meaning that the whole world is a stakeholder, in the development of our democracy in this country. The election in Osun is special to people. It's after the heart of stakeholders or people across the world, and all the attention is focused on here. So we should say to stakeholder institutions, whether governmental or non-governmental, to ensure that each of these stages of the election attended to professionally according to the law, and that at the end, the wish of the people.
Thank you so much,
Dr.
Akinya.
Thank you.
Of CEMESO. You were talking, when you were speaking the other time, you talked about PWDs, persons living with disability. Mr. Larry, so what is the role of the media coverage of persons with disability? Because they need special attention. Persons with disabilities, those that are old, the aged, and the young ones that are just voting maybe for the first time. The role of the media is doing justice.
Well, it's a very important community in terms of population and in terms of the challenges that they face as persons with disability. And in the engagement we've had before now, we've called on our colleagues in the media to give priority attention to their issues, particularly as there are guidelines by INEC on how to manage their affairs during elections. And this includes provision of assistive devices that would enable them to cast their votes easily. For example, provision of braille for those who have sight problem, ensuring that those who have a physical disability are able to access the polling units. And part of what we want to see the media do is to monitor what happens on election day to see that these facilities are in place. Part of it is also to enlighten the people to understand that this group of people needs to be accorded priority when it comes to lining up, queuing to vote. As a matter of fact, we encourage the presiding officials, where possible, to maybe provide for 2 lines so that one can be the elderly, the pregnant, the persons with disability, so that they can cast their votes. Because if some of them stay online for too long, anything could happen, and we do not want anything to happen. So the issues of persons with disability is of paramount importance to us as media and as civil society as we go into this election. And let me just also add, because you started by asking me, what should the media be doing now? Crucially, what we expect the media to be doing between now and the election is to hold stakeholders accountable to their promises, the pledge they have made to make this election credible. Starting with INEC, in terms of the preparation. As of today, where are we? By tomorrow, where are we going to be? I know that by Thursday, there will be the inspection of the sensitive materials. That is very, very important. Then we have the police that have pledged to provide security. What is the current situation? And what are they doing to ensure that there is peaceful voting? That is another critical stakeholder. The transporters who will provide the vehicles to move election materials. We expect the media to go to them to talk about their readiness. The media must be there when they are inspecting the vehicles, because when we had a citizens town hall here a few weeks ago, the resident electoral commissioner for this state said that they are going to ensure that they have an inspection of these vehicles before voting day. We want the media to be there so that we can hold them accountable, because they have to provide very good vehicles to move the INEC officials. So this is where we are. And just to add to what we were saying earlier on, that within this community of civil society groups working on elections, it's not just CEMESO, Kuka Center, and IPC. We also have others working in different areas, because we are partners under the European Union support to democratic governance in Nigeria.
Thank you. I forget the police public relations officer. You soon join us in a moment.
Very good.
So thank you so much. You can go on with your...
Yeah. So like I said, we are more than this. And that when we had that citizen stand up, it was done by our cohorts. We have YAG Africa, we have the Nigerian Women Trust Fund, and we have Electoral as part, of this group working together to ensure that we are able to deliver, a credible election in Osun State.
Thank you so much, Mr. Larry Arubugati. Mr. Asabe Dani. Let me ask you. You said when election malpractice occur, that there are legal remedies. You've explained them available for candidates and voters. So how effective are these legal remedies?
So I will take you back to the Peace Accord, which was signed here in Osun State on the 30th of July, where we brought where the different candidates and their party chairmen came together to sign the Peace Accord. And that Peace Accord is a reflection of the Constitution of Nigeria and the entire legal framework that governs our electoral process. So I just want to say that the laws are there. The penalties are also there. Now the issue is enforcement. At the Peace Accord, we usually bring the IG of police and the chairman of the election management body, INEC, to sign this accord so that they serve as witnesses. Because principally, the responsibility rests on their desk to make sure that security agents or security agencies or the election management body enforce the laws that are provided in the different legal frameworks. So the problem is about enforcement. And I think that as a country, Nigeria, that's where there's always a gap. And we have advocated for the Electoral Offences Commission so that there's a commission that handles all offences committed pre-election and post-election. But that is yet to come to light. So what we still have is the security agencies and the election management body, and we're hoping that they will deliver on their responsibility. Because at the end of the day, the credibility of this Osun State election rests on the critical stakeholders that will perform on election day and their ability to deliver. And let's not forget that whatever happens in Osun election is a litmus test for what might happen during the general elections. Because between the Osun elections and the general elections will be about 170 days by and large. So it's very important that this election goes well. It's a test for institutional preparedness and the general credibility of state.
Thank you so much. It is a litmus test for the general election coming. Let's have a commercial break. It's still a special program on electoral integrity, nation building, and security. Let's have a commercial break. When we come back, we go on with the program. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
Great people of Osun, the state of the living spring, it is once again time to head to the polls. The Independent National Electoral Commission reminds us one person, one vote. Every society faces challenges, security, jobs, infrastructure, opportunity, and over time, the quality of leadership shapes the answers we see. These outcomes don't happen by chance, they are shaped by decisions made over time, and those decisions come from leadership. Leadership comes from participation. If you don't vote, you are still making a choice, just not for yourself. When fewer people participate, decisions are shaped by fewer voices, and when we choose not to vote, we leave those decisions to others and live with the outcome. When money is offered in exchange for a vote, it may feel helpful in the moment, but the long-term cost is often much higher.
For us, as young people, participation matters because we have a stake in what comes next. Opportunities, education, cost of living, safety. These things don't shape themselves. They are shaped when we show up. And when we show up, our priorities are harder to ignore.
We understand the value of our vote. Our vote is not for sale. The government we desire is the one we must vote for. What we sow is what we reap. This is our state. This is our future. On election day, show up. Make your choice. Let your voice count. Your vote is not small. This message is brought to you by Center for Media and Society, CEMESO, and funded by the European Union.
You're welcome back. It is still the special program on electoral integrity, nation building and security, the police public relations officer, Osun State Police Command, Abiodun Oselabi. We're expecting a call from him as he will speak from the angle of security on this forthcoming election. Barrister Idari, you're talking about how effective the process you see. Please can you please give us more? Because people are not at least really fearful of the process. We want to know and want to be assured whether our votes would count. If it doesn't, or intimidation occur, we want to know what really is done for us in terms of law.
So I will start by saying that one of the rights of the citizen or the Osun State people as they progress into this election is the right to secrecy of the ballots. And I think that cannot be compromised by any stakeholder. If that happens, the secrecy of the ballots and the people cast their votes, then we can be rest assured that whatever result we get on election day, no matter how close the margin might be, that is actually a reflection of the Osun State electorate. That's one. Where there's intimidation and other forms of oppression on election day, ordinarily that is a crime in itself because it is codified in the different aspects of the legal framework, particularly the electoral offences, and we know that an offence can easily become a crime depending on how it is managed. So you should be able to seek redress from the security agents that are available. The IG has promised that there will be a minimum of 4 police officers within a particular polling unit. And that doesn't also take away the fact that there will be other security agents, both stationary and roving, on that election day. And so there should be different means of addressing any irregularity that happens on election day. But then we've also noticed that from the risk assessment that we have done at the Kuka Center in collaboration with IPC and CEMESO, working together as a cohort, we have some flashpoint local government areas, about 13 of the 30 local government areas. Let me attempt to mention some of these places. And this is not to create fear in the minds of the electorate, but we have to be mindful of our environment when we come out to it. And so people must be vigilant because at the end of the day, no innocent citizens should lose their life because they're coming out to participate in the electoral process. I mean, I would advise that people should, in that case, just be cautious while coming out to cast their votes. I don't want to be categorical in saying these places are hot zones, but then we've just seen a few indicators to say that these places have had issues pre-election, and the analysis is that on election day, people just need to be cautious. And the places include Osogbo, Ede North, Irewole, Iwo, Obokun, Ifedayo, Ilesha, both east and west, Ife Central, and Ife South. So yeah, we're just trying to say that at the end of the day, people should be optimistic, and the security agents themselves also have to come out to make sure that the situation is not worsened by their presence. So they must discharge their responsibilities impartially, with all forms of neutrality and professionalism is expected of them. I think that is a very good strategy.
Thank you so much for that addition. From experience, Dr. Akakiri, Executive Director and CEMESO, what are some of the major factors threatening the credibility of elections in Nigeria? The credibility of elections. From experience, what are those factors threatening its
Okay.
threats to
Yeah, thank you very much. Factors several, mainly human factors, and these come from inability or failure of certain institutions to appropriately carry out their roles. One factor, or let me call them issues now, will be the issue of attempts to manipulate in elections. And manipulation happens in various levels. People want to manipulate results, want to look for ways of changing what the people decided through their votes. That's one serious issue. Issue of inducement of citizens or voters. My colleagues already referred to the issue of vote buying, for example, or vote trading in election, which you have seen, in many places. It continues to be an issue of very high concern. Issue of denial of access for various people, even at the level of political party selection. People who should emerge at the level of political parties, in some cases, are not allowed to emerge. The process is abused, so to speak, in some cases. And then, that leads, to a lot of problems, even into the electoral process. Issues of even the electoral law reform. We'll be talking about the law. Sometimes, we see people who make the laws, the legislators, making laws that will throw up problems in the electoral process. Meanwhile, when you make law, when you reform a law, the intention is that you want to improve the electoral process. But sometimes, they put in provisions into the law that then cause problem on the election field. Issue of technology deployment. Abuse in the deployment of technology, which you have seen in our elections. People will try, to see if they can manipulate the process. You remember, something, that had happened in some of the things that had happened in the past. And today we still talk of, there's still a problem, in our results management.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akin. Thank you, sir. Our lines are open for viewers to phone in. At the program, the number you have to call us in is 090-354-08982. The number will be displayed on the screen. And once again, 090-354-08982. Mr. Larry, so what are the role of the press, the media, in preventing violence through the reportage instead of preferring to report violence after it has occurred?
Well, thank you very much. I think that's a very, very important question, in the sense that one of the things we emphasize before elections and even during the election is what we call conflict sensitive election reporting. Because election ordinarily is a form of conflict, because conflict is when there is dispute or contest for something. And in this particular instance, people are contesting for power. They want to be in a position to decide who runs the affairs of the state. And along the line, there are disagreements. So inherently, politics itself or election is a form of conflict. But what we then say is that conflict, the media has a role in its management. So in our reporting, for example, we must reflect the diverse sides. We must not be sensational. Even as we talk about possible security threats in this election, we must not present it in a way that will scare people from voting. It's still part of conflict sensitivity. Then even when maybe inevitably you have clashes, you have violence, part of it is for us to be careful the way we report it, particularly when it comes to identities. And we have to ensure that we are factually accurate. So it would be wrong, for example, for a news medium to go out and say, there's a clash, and then the next thing you are saying, they've killed this number of supporters of this party, they've done this, when you have not even ascertained. And in every tense situation, there are always those who are calling for peaceful conduct. I know before we started this program, we had a maybe a traditional ruler or so who was talking about the fact that young people should not be allowed them. So we need to project those voices, voices calling for, we call them voices of reason, asking people to be decent. These are the roles that we have to play so that we will not be held responsible. And this is very, very important because when you look at the electoral history in Nigeria, we have found instances where the media are been blamed for causing political violence, even in this Southwest, in those states, for example, in 1983. So we have to be very, very careful. Now, one final point of this, we journalists, well, we do our work, but unfortunately, we usually don't own the mediums where we work. We have employers. Some of them have political interests. We have always appealed to our journalists that our loyalty must be to our profession when it comes to election.
So in that case, when we talk about neutrality, except of neutrality, fine, should journalists take sides?
Well, journalists are supposed to present all sides in the political debate based on facts. They are not supposed to take sides. As individuals, they have the right to belong to political parties, to vote for parties of their choice. But when it comes to reporting of the elections, that bias, we are not expected to see it. They are supposed to report the facts of the elections so that if somebody from party A makes an allegation, for example, in fact, before you go out there to publish that allegation, you must have spoken to the other side and investigate the facts so that what you are presenting is a balance in the view. This is what we encourage, and that is about being, conflict, sensitive. In no circumstance should our reporting cause any form of electoral disturbance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Larry. Let's have a commercial break. When we come back, the program still continues. Don't go away.
Great people of Osun, the state of the living spring, it is once again time to head to the polls. The Independent National Electoral Commission reminds us one person, one vote. Every society faces challenges, security, jobs, infrastructure, opportunity, and over time, the quality of leadership shapes the answers we see. These outcomes don't happen by chance, they are shaped by decisions made over time, and those decisions come from leadership. Leadership comes from participation. If you don't vote, you are still making a choice, just not for yourself. When fewer people participate, decisions are shaped by fewer voices. And when we choose not to vote, we leave those decisions to others and live with the outcome. When money is offered in exchange for a vote, it may feel helpful in the moment, but the long-term cost is often much higher.
For us, as young people, participation matters because we have a stake in what comes next. Opportunities, education, cost of living, safety. These things don't shape themselves. They are shaped when we show up. And when we show up, our priorities are harder to ignore.
We understand the value of our vote. Our vote is not for sale. The government we desire is the one we must vote for. What we sow is what we reap. This is our state. This is our future. On election day, show up. Make your choice. Let your voice count. Your vote is not small. This message is brought to you by Center for Media and Society, CEMESO, and funded by the European Union.
Welcome back, and we pray for a free, fair, and credible election come this Saturday by the special grace of God. Dr. Akinwumi, how does vote buying affect an election?
That is serious. Vote buying or vote trading, as people also call it, because it involves buying and selling.
And there's also like the Boko Sebe.
The Boko Sebe has become a very, very serious issue in our election. It is of concern to everybody, every stakeholder institution. And stakeholders are looking for ways of dealing with this and dealing with it in a very strong and permanent manner. When votes are traded, when votes are sold, bought and sold, it simply means that the outcome of an election, that the outcome we receive from that citizens get from an election is not what the outcome should be. It means that the popular will has not been reflected in the outcome. It means that.
Sorry, let's speak this call from the PPRO. Sorry, sir. Hello. Oh, sorry. You can go. Let's.
Okay. It means that people have sold out their expectations, the dividends of democracy they know that they should get after election.
Does it even mean that the people have sold out their future?
They have, but maybe not just their own future, but future of even of other generations. When they do that, it is really, really bad. People give out 5,000, sometimes 10,000 for people, meaning that as a citizen collects 10,000 and votes for the person who gives him or her that money, the person has said, yes, for the next 4 years, this is my entitlement.
Yes.
For 4 years. So when the person gets into office, citizens cannot ask him. Citizens cannot say, deliver dividends of democracy. The dividends have been collected, 10,000.
Okay, so let's have a call. So I have a call from the Police Public Relations Officer, Abiodun Jelabi. Let's hear from him. Hello, you're online. So what are the role of the police? The role of the police come this Saturday election. Oh, you can go on, sir.
All right.
You talk
and then
about vote buying.
Yes.
The effects.
The effect, you know what it means. The dividends of democracy. I mean, people who indulge in that cannot ask for dividends of democracy because upfront, as we say, they have collected their own in the form of 5,000 or 10,000. And there's the angle of the big abuse of insulting of citizens. When they say Diboko Sebe, it simply means that you should vote and prepare a pot of soup.
I do that pot of soup that you eat.
That you eat. Is it that pot of soup, for 4 years, one pot of soup. And in any case, these days, as we know, what kind...
Hello, sir. Hello? Hello? Oh, okay.
So, and as we all know, what kind of pot of soup will the 5,000 naira prepare, for God's sake? So it's really an insult, citizens. And what we see really is that political actors who indulge in vote trading are just weaponizing things like poverty, because so many citizens are poor. They then dangle peanuts at them and compel them to vote for them. It's really serious, and I'm happy with the way that the authorities are dealing with this, whether it's in the law, the provisions. Vote trading is already a criminal act in the law, and I see also that institutions, anti-graft institutions, have taken up.
Hello, sorry sir, let's have this call. Hello, you are on to our studio. So this is the police PPRO, Osun State Command, Mr. Abiodun Ojelabi. Sir, what is your role or the role of the police in coming electoral malpractice? When we talk about security, come this Saturday. Yes, I can hear you clearly. Yes.
Okay. My name is Peacebuilding.
Okay.
I think the question, please.
So the role of the police are put in place to ensure security come this Saturday. You're welcome.
This doesn't just concern the police.
Yes.
As ISIS, which is the Independent Security Committee, we are working together to ensure a very secure atmosphere around this factory.
Okay.
To make sure that to make the people know that security is around them. And not only that, the Israeli police has been very intelligence response team. They have been on ground, they have been very intelligent for us, and all the intelligence have been acted upon as to make sure that we have a very safe election ground opportunity. We map out some of the flashpoints and concentrate on those flashpoints.
Okay, okay. What are those flashpoints, please? Let's have them.
Yes, we map out our information.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. What should a voter do if they witness vote buying, intimidation, and all that? How do they report this to the police? What should a voter do if they witness intimidation, vote buying, and other forms of malpractice, electoral malpractice? What should they do? How should they report this to the police on the day of election? Yes, on the election day.
So the IPC and the IPC will be on ground. The DSS will be on ground also. We are working together. Any form of vote trading, definitely if there is a buyer, there is a seller. Any form of vote trading won't be likely at all. Not from the police and other agencies involved.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ojelabi.
By so doing, we will make sure that no form of cash inducement is being allowed within the voting premises.
Thank you so much. Let me, on a final note, sir, what measures are in place to ensure that police are professional in their duties? When we're talking about professionalism this time around, how should they maintain professionalism at their duty post?
Yes, as to the professionality of the police, we are doing our best to ensure that, as I'm talking to you now, there is a form that is being given to all police officers and other agencies. That is the oath of neutrality. We giving out this form is to ensure that everybody bring down his or her signature and affirm that we are going to be neutral and professional. And anyone found on the team, they should be dealt with accordingly. That is part of the measure. And another measure being put in place is that each formation-based things now will be monitored, will be marked by a very senior officer, which we are going to be holding accountable for. Nevertheless, every person is accountable for his or her action. We are going to be personally holding these senior officers
accountable.
Actions for all those posted under them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abiodun Ojelabi, PPRO Osun State Command, for that beautiful addition on this election role, election integrity, and nation building. It is on this note that we'll be calling it a day or wrapping it up on this special program on electoral integrity, nation building, peace building, and security. Until next time we shall come your way, let me use this beautiful opportunity to thank my guests once again. Mr. Larry Arobudari is Executive Director, International Press Center. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much.
I hope one next to call you would oblige us.
Oh, it's our work. That's why we're here.
Thank you so much once again.
We're here
Dr.
for peaceful elections.
Thank you. Dr. Akin Akibu, Executive Director, CEMESO. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to have been part of this.
And next time,
oh, certainly. I'll be available.
Barrister Asabe Dai, Project Manager at Kuka Center. I wanted to say that you are beating me again.
Yes,
but
the men might.
So I will not offend you.
I say we are handsome also.
Thank you so much for coming. It is on that note that we wrap up the program for today. I want to use this beautiful opportunity to say that when next we meet, we're going to have another special program by the special grace of God on this electoral process. And we should have it in mind that Nigeria is for me, it's for you, and it is for all of us. Nigeria will hail thee, our own dear native land. Though child and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. And so in peace and plenty, Nigeria will be blessed. My name is Adeola Gani. Until next time, I say goodbye and stay blessed.
Great people of Osun, the state of the living spring, it is once again time to head to the polls. The Independent National Electoral Commission reminds us one person, one vote. Every society faces challenges, security, jobs, infrastructure, opportunity. And over time, the quality of leadership shapes the answers we see. These outcomes don't happen by chance. They are shaped by decisions made over time, and those decisions come from leadership. Leadership comes from participation. If you don't vote, you are still making a choice, just not for yourself. When fewer people participate, decisions are shaped by fewer voices. And when we choose not to vote, we leave those decisions to others and live with the outcome. When money is offered in exchange for a vote, it may feel helpful in the moment, but the long-term cost is often much higher.
For us, as young people, participation matters because we have a stake in what comes next. Opportunities, education, cost of living, safety. These things don't shape themselves. They are shaped when we show up. And when we show up, our priorities are harder to ignore.
We understand the value of our vote. Our vote is not for sale. The government we desire is the one we must vote for. What we sow is what we reap. This is our state. This is our future. On election day, show up, make your choice, let your voice count. Your vote is not small. This message is brought to you by Center for Media and Society, CEMESO, and funded by the European Union.